Hi friends, today we are discussing Science and Technology, Paper 2 State Board 2025, N853, question and answers. Disclaimer: State Board 10th Standard N853 Science and Technology 72 Paper 2 2025 question and answers. Before starting this video, kindly type in YouTube search at the rate of Iswarya Vijay Kumar and kindly subscribe the channel. N853 2025 Science and Technology Part 2. Total marks, maximum marks 40. General points. Question number 1. Choose the correct options and write the correct alternatives. First questions. A molecule of glucose is completely oxidized in aerobic respirations, and molecules of water and gas are produced along with carbon dioxide. That is the right answers. Your answer is carbon dioxide, CO2. Explanations. When a molecules of glucose is completely oxidized is aerobic respirations, carbon dioxide and waters are produced along with the energy ATP. The brief answer and the explanations of these questions. Aerobic respirations, its product. Aerobic respirations is the process by which glucose C6H12O6 is broken down in the presence of oxygen O2 to produce the carbon dioxide, waters and the energy ATP. The balanced chemical equations of aerobic respirations is C6H H12O6 and CO2 plus C6CO2 plus 6H2O plus ATP. The carbon dioxide is released as a byproduct and inhaled by organisms. Water H2O is also formed during the process. And ATP, adenosine triphosphate, is the energy molecules used by cell for various activities. Thus, the correct answer is A, CO2, carbon dioxide. Question number 2. Vinegar contains acidic acid. Acidic is the answer. Here, A, acidic. The brief answer and the explanation of this question. So, vinegar and its acid content. Vinegar is a commonly used liquid that has a sour taste, is used in cooking and food preservation. The main component of vinegar is acetic acid, which gives in its characteristic sour taste and strong smell. The other acid mentioned in the options: the lactic acid found in curd and sour milk, and tartaric acid found in tamarind and grapes. Hydrochloric acid found in the stomach and as gastric acids, but not in vinegar. So finally the correct answer is A, acetic acid. Question number 3. Any nucleotide of the gene suddenly change its positions that causes a minor change, which is nothing but the mutations. That is the answer B. Here answer B, mutations. Explanations. Any nucleotide of the genes suddenly changed its positions that causes a minor change, which is nothing but the B, mutation, is the final answer. The brief answer and the explanation of these questions. What is mutation? Mutation is a sudden change in the DNA sequence of a gene. When a nucleotide that buildings a block of DNA change its positions, it can cause a minor alterations in the genetic code. This may lead to a variation in traits, but not always harmful one. Some mutations can be beneficial, while others may have no significant effect. Question number 4. In humans, sperm productions occurs in the taste organs. C, answer is a C. The brief answer and the explanation of these questions. In humans, sperm productions, spermatogenesis takes place in the test. The test or the primary male reproductive organs that produce the sperms and the testosterone a hormone responsible for male characteristics. The other options like a vase difference and ejaculatory duct are involved in sperm transport but not in sperm productions. Question number 5. The solar photovoltaic cells converts the solar radiation energy directly into electrical energy. Answer is D. Electrical. The brief answer and the explanation of these questions: a solar photovoltaic PV cells directly convert solar radiations into electrical energy using a photovoltaic effect. When sunlight falls on a PV cells, it means photovoltaic cells. It exists electrons in the semiconductors material, usually silicon, generating an electrical current. The electricity can then be used to power various devices. Find the odd one. Fragmentations, generations, budding and fertilizations. The answer is fertilizations. And the second one is correct correlations: diabetics, insulin, cancer and chemotherapy. The brief answer and the explanation of these questions: the fragmentation, regenerations and buddings are all type of asexual reproductions, while fertilizations is a process of sexual reproductions. And the brief answer and the explanations: find odd one out. Fermentation, regenerations and budding are asexual reproduction methods. Fragmentations an organisms breaks into fragments and each fragment grows into a new organisms. Example, Spirogyra. Regenerations, certain organisms regrew lost body parts, sometimes leading a new individuals. Examples, planaria. And budding, a small outgrowing buds develop and defects to form a new individual, that is hydra yeast. Fertilizations on the other hand is a part of sexual reproductions where male and female gemtest fuse to form a gayotes. Add one note: fertilizations because it belongs to a sexual reproductions while the other are forms of a sexual reproduction. One B2. Write the correct correlations: diabetic, insulin and cancers, chemotherapy. The brief answer and the explanation of these questions: diabetes, insulin. People with diabetes often need to insulins because their bodies do not produce or properly use it. Cancer and chemotherapy. Cancer is often treated using chemotherapy, which involves powerful drugs that kills or slow to growth of cancer cells. And question number 3. State whether true or false. The study of fossils is an important aspect of the body of evolution. That is true. And the fourth one: give any two commercial uses of biotechnologies. And the fifth one: being a fish, I performed respirations with the help of lungs. Who am I? Lungfish, it is a type of a fish that has lungs, can breathe air. The brief answer and the explanations of these questions: study of fossils is an important aspect of the study of evolutions. The brief answer and the explanation of these questions: the study of fossils is an important aspect of the study evolutions, as fossils provide evidence of the past life forms and the evolutionary changes over time. The fossils provides evidence of part organisms that shows how species have changed over time. They help scientists to understand essential relationship and the development of life forms. Example, fossils evidence show that birds evolved from dinosaurs. The second one: give any commercial usage of biotechnology. Answer is productions of genetically modified GM crops. The higher yield and pest resistance and protective of genetically modified GM crops and the biotechnology help they create crops that are resistant to pest, disease and extreme weather conditions. Example, BT cottons resistance to insect pest. Second one, the pharmaceutical industry. Biotechnology is used to produce medicines such as insulins, vaccines and antibiotics. Example, genetically engineered bacteria produced human insulins for diabetic treatment and pharmaceutical industries for the productions of insulin, vaccines and antibiotics. Question number 1b5. The brief answer and explanations. Lungfish. It is a type of fish that has lungs and can breathe air. Explanations. Most fish breathe through gills, but lungfish have lungs that allow them to breathe air. They can survive in water with low oxygen levels by breathing through their lungs. Found mainly in Africa, South America and Australia. Question number 2a. Give a scientific reason. Sometimes higher plants and animals to perform aerobic respirations. The answer of this question, sometimes higher plants and animals to perform anaerobic respirations in certain conditions such as a lack of oxygen. Higher plants and animals can perform anaerobic respirations. For example, in humans, during intense physical activity and muscles cells undergoes anaerobic respirations, producing lactic acids instead of carbon dioxide and water. Similarly, some plants' roots is in waterlogged conditions which to anaerobic respirations due to insufficient oxygen supply. Second one, it is not right to consider to mother responsible for giving birth to a girl child. A sex of a child is determined by the father's sperms, not the mother. The human sex determinations follow the XY chromosome systems where the mother always contributes an X chromosome while the father contributes either an X resulting in a girl XX or a Y resulting in a boy XY, and hence the father's genetic contributions determines a sex of child, not the mother. The energy generations from the nuclear fuels is not environment friendly. Although the nuclear energy produces a minimal air pollution, it has environmental concerns such as radioactive waste disposals and the potential nuclear accidents. Examples, the Chernobyl's and Fukushima and thermal pollutions affecting aquatic ecosystems. The long-lasting radioactive waste requires secure disposal to prevent harmful radiation exposures, making the nuclear energy a less environmental friendly option. Question number 3b1. Answer the following questions. Complete the following food signs: grass and grasshoppers, frog, snake, eagles, and decomposer. Here, grass, grasshopper, snakes, frog, snakes, eagle, decomposers. The brief answer and explanation of these questions. Each organism plays a role of the transfers of energy. Grass provides the energy to primary consumers, and grasshoppers primary consumer to eats the grass. Frog secondary consumer eats the grasshopper. The fourth one, the snake tertiary consumers eats the frog, and eagles apex predators eats the snakes. Decomposers examples: bacteria, fungi breaks down dead organism and returns nutritionals to the soil. The explanations of food science. A food science represents a transfers of energy from one organism to another in a ecosystem which consists of different level. First one is the producers, the plant grass. The food science start with the grass, which is a producer. Grass maker is own food using photosynthesis, converting sunlight into energy. It serves as a food for herbivores. And the primary consumers, herbivorous, grasshopper. The grasshopper is a primary consumer. It is a herbivorous herbivore that feeds on grass on to get energy. The energy from the grass is transferred to the grasshoppers when it eats the plant. Point number 3, the secondary grasshoppers and the carnivores frog. The secondary consumers. The frog is a secondary consumer. It is a carnivores that eats grasshoppers. The energy stored in a grasshoppers is passed to the frog when it consumes the insects. The fourth one, tertiary consumers, carnivore snakes. The snake is a tertiary consumer. It preys on frog and gaining energy from them. The energy from the frog is transferred to a snake them when it eats it. And point number 5, apex predators, top of the chains, eagles. The eagles then apex predators, meaning it has no natural predators. It preys on snakes, gaining energy from them. This complete the food chains at the predator levels. And the sixth one is decomposers. Decomposers, fungi and bacteria, etc. And when the eagles dies, decomposers like bacteria and fungi break down its body. This process returns to nutritional to soils, which helps plants like grass growth, completing the cycle. The summary: the energy flows the plant, herbivores and small carnivores, large carnivores and the top predator. Each steps in the chain is called trophic level. Decomposers ensure the nutrition returns to the environment, allowing the cycles to continue. And question number 3. Distinguish the following class species and class reptiles. Here mentions here the distinguish between the class species and the class reptila based on key characteristics and features, habitat and class species fish and class species reptila. Here habitat and aquatic and freshwater and marine and mostly terrestrial, some aquatic, and body covering with scales and covered with dry keratinized scales or scutes. Heart, 2 chambers heart except crocodile with 4 and 3 chambers heart except crocodile with 4 chambers. And limbs, fins for movement, usually for limbs except snakes. Reproductions mostly oviparous, egg layings, most oviparous, some viviparous. And fertilizations mostly external, internal fertilizations. And body temperature cold blooded ectotherm and cold blooded ectothermic. And question number 2b3. Observe the following pictures and write any two effect of this disaster. The two effect of disaster flooding. So in the image and disruptions of transportations, the flood railway track and roads causes delay and cancellations of trains and vehicles affecting daily commuting. Point number 2, health hazards. And food water can spread disease, contaminated drinking water and create unhygienic conditions. Point number 2b1, 2b4, write any methods to reduce stress. First one is exercise regularly. The physical activity help release endorphins, which improve mood and reduce stress. And practice meditations or deep breathing. This technique will help calm to mind and reduce anxiety. And point number 3, maintain a health diet to sleep schedule. The proper nutrition and rest supports mental well-being. Point number 4, engaging in hobbies or social activities. Doing enjoyable activities or spending time with loved ones can help reduce stress. Question number 4b. Complete the following conceptual pictures and treated water and biogas, sludge and recovery nutritions. To be sewage after producing can be divided into following components. First one is treated water, can be released into water bodies or reused for non-potable process purposes. And second point number 2, biogas, generated from the anaerobic digestions or of organic waste, used an energy source. And point number 3, sludge, solid waste that can be further treated and used as fertilizer or decomposed of safety. Point number 4, recovered nutrition such as nitrogen and phosphorus, which can be used in agriculture. 3.1. Answer the following questions if any 5. Define the heredity. Explain the mechanisms of hereditary changes. The define heredity. They explain the mechanisms of hereditary changes. The heredity is a process by which traits and characteristics are passed from the parents of offspring through genes. It occurs through a transformation of genetic material DNA from one generation to the next. The mechanisms of hereditary changes. The DNA and genes and hereditary information is stored in DNA, which contains genes responsible for specific traits. Mutations, changes in DNA sequence mutations can lead to various traits. Point number 3, recommendations during sexual reproduction. Genetic material from both parents combines, leading to variations. Point number 4, natural selections and favorable hereditary changes to help organisms survive to reproduce, influencing evolutions over generations. Question number 3.2. Write any 4 stages of mitosis and explain 2 of them. The 4 stages of mitosis are prophase and metaphase and anaphase and telophase. Explain the 2 stages and prophase. Chromatins condensed into visible chromosomes. The nuclear membrane start to disappear. The spindles fibers begin to form from centripole. Point number 2, the anaphase, the sisters chromatids are pulled apart by spindle fibers, and the chromatids move to opposite poles of the cells. They ensure that each daughter cell receives an equal numbers of chromosomes. Point number 3, explain the examples of type of asexual reproductions in unicellular organisms. The type of includes the binary fissions examples anemia and bacteria, amoeba and bacteria. These cells splits into 2 identical daughter cells, and bunding example is a small outgrowing bud forms on the parent cells and detaches to grow independently. And point number 3 and 4 solutions example fungi like Europhus. Organisms produce spores that germinate into a new individual under favorable conditions. Point number 4, fragmentation example Spirogenia. Through its multicellular, the organism breaks into fragments and each fragment develops into a new organism. 3.4, which fuel is used in thermal power plant? Write any 2 problems associated with the type of power generations. The answer of these questions: fuel used, coal and natural gases or oil is used to thermal power plants. Problems associated with the thermal power plant generations: the environmental pollution, point number 1, and burning of fossil fuels release the carbon dioxide leading to air pollution and global warming. Point number 2, resource depletions. Fossil fuels are non-renewable and may be exhausted in the future. Write 3 characteristics of phylum Musculus. 3 characteristics of phylum Musculca. The soft body with hard cells. Most mollusks have a soft and unsegmented body protected by a calcium carbonate cells, example snail and clams, and a muscular foot They have the muscular foot for movement or attachment. Example, octopus, a snail. Point number 3, presence of mantle and radula. The mantle secretes the cells and the radulus, the tutor organs, helps in feeder except in bivalves. 3, 4. And what are the constitutions of acid rain which are to effect on the earth surface? The answer of this question is acid rain is a primary composed of sulfuric acid H2O SO4 and formed from the carbon dioxide sulfur dioxide SO2 emissions. The nitric acid HNO3 and formed from nitrogen oxides NOx emissions to effect on earth surface damage to building and monuments. The acid rains corrodes limestones and carbon and concrete structures weakened them over time. And point number 2, harm to aquatic life. It lowers the pH of water bodies, making them acidic and harmful to fish and other aquatic organisms. 3 sevens, the addictions, and the second one TikTok, and the third one reading, and the fourth one kindred. The cross bustles as the words addictions filled in the clues, and the first ones which refers to the continuous consumptions of alcoholic and tobacco materials. Let us solve the remaining clues across the addictions already given in the question paper. Down and TikTok. They are popular apps that may use cyber crimes. Third one readings, a remedy to resolve stress. Fourth one kindred, required for a stress-free life, so the completed crossword puzzles should have addictions, TikTok reading, and kindred. And 3, 8. Write down the reasons and effective remedial measures to take for any one disaster seen or heard by you. Disaster floods. Reasons for floods: heavy rainfall, prolonging or intense rainfall causes rivers and lakes to over. Point number 2, deforestation. Deforestation on the lake of tree reduced water absorbance and increasing surface runoff. Point number 3, poor drainage systems and blocked in insufficiency and drainage leads to water logging. And point number 4, dam failures and the sudden release of water from dams can cause us flash floods. And fifth one, economic loss and the business and the infrastructures and industries suffer massive financial setbacks, and remedial measurements and afforestations. Planting more trees to prevent soil erosions and improve water absorbance, and proper drainage systems. Maintaining and improving drainage infrastructures to prevent waterlogging. Point number 3, constructions of dams and embankments to control rivers water levels and reduce flooding risk. Point number 4, disasters preparedness, early warning systems, evacuations plans and flood shelter. Point number 5, public awareness, educating people about the flood safety measures and emerging response. Flood are a major natural disasters, but with proper prevention measures their impact can be minimized. Point number 4, what is biodiversity? Write any 4 steps to conserve biodiversity. Answers: biodiversity refers to a variety of life on earth, including different species of plants, animals, microorganisms, and ecosystems they forms. It is essential of maintaining ecological balance to provide resources like food, medicines, and raw materials. 4 steps of conserve biodiversity. First, afforestations and reforestations, and planting more tree and restoration deforested area area to maintain natural habits. Point number 2, protecting areas and wildlife sanctuaries. Established national parks and wildlife reserves and biosphere reserves to protect endangered species. Point number 3, reducing the population and sustainable practice, minimizing the industrial waste, reducing plastic use and promoting eco-friendly farming techniques. And awareness and educating people about the importance of biodiversity and encouraging sustainable lifestyles. 4.2, what is stem cells? Write any 4 uses of stem cell. Answer: stem cells are undifferentiated cells that have the ability to develop into the different type of cells in the body. They play a crucial role of growth, repair and regeneration of tissues. 4 uses of stem cells: treatment of blood disorders, used in a bone marrow transplant for leukemia and other blood related disease. Point number 2, regeneration medicines helps its repairing damaging tissues and organisms such as in the heart disease and spinal cord injuries. Point number 3, drug testing and development, used in the test new drugs for safety and effectiveness before human trials. Point number 4, treatment and genetic disorders. Stem cells therapy is being explored for treating the disease like sickle cell anemia and cystic fibrosis. And for further contact us, I given here the details. Kindly type in YouTube subs @ Ishwarya Vijay Kumar and kindly subscribe the channels. Thanking you, and if any doubt means put the comment box and kindly subscribe this channel.